The Sargasso Sea is boiling. Inside the steel gut of Soviet submarine B-59, the temperature has climbed to 120 degrees. The air scrubbers have failed. Carbon dioxide is pooling on the floor like an invisible, suffocating tide. Men are fainting at their posts, their chests heaving as they try to pull oxygen from the soup of diesel fumes and human sweat. Above them, the ocean is tearing itself apart. The thump, thump, thump of American depth charges is getting louder, closer, shaking the hull until the rivets scream. They are trapped. They are blind, and they are convinced that World War III has already started. Captain Valentin Savitsky is losing his mind. He grips the periscope handles, his eyes wide and bloodshot in the red emergency light. He screams that they will not die like rats in a trap. He orders the special weapon to be armed. He orders the end of the world. This is the decisive moment. In the torpedo tube of B-59 sits a single T-5 nuclear torpedo. It has a yield of 10 kilotons, roughly the same power that leveled Hiroshima. If Savitsky fires, the American fleet above them will be vaporized. The retaliatory strike from the U.S. Navy will incinerate Moscow. The Soviet counter-strike will turn Washington into glass. Humanity will end in a firestorm that starts right here, in this sweating, stinking metal tube. The fate of 4 billion people rests on a voting system that requires 3 keys and 3 men. 2 of them, Captain Savitsky and the political officer Ivan Maslenikov, have already turned their keys. They are screaming for the 3rd man to do his duty. But the 3rd man is Vasili Arkhipov, and his hand is not moving. How did the world get to the edge of this abyss? It began months ago in the secret docks of the Kola Peninsula. The mission was classified special importance. The crews were not told where they were going. They were given winter coats for a voyage to the tropics. They were packed into diesel-electric submarines designed for the frigid North Atlantic, not the warm waters of the Caribbean. Arkhipov knew the odds were impossible. The technical reality of the situation is a nightmare of physics and psychology. The B-59 is running on battery power, and the batteries are dying. Without the diesel engines, the air conditioning is dead. The heat is destroying the equipment. The radio antennas are damaged. They haven't heard from Moscow in days. They are completely isolated. The special weapon protocol is a failed deadly system. It assumes that if the submarine is under attack and cannot contact command, the motherland has likely already been destroyed. Therefore, the captain has the authority to launch. But there is a safeguard, a human safeguard. On this specific submarine, because Arkhipov is the flotilla commander, his vote is required. The authorization circuit is a physical series of locks. Savitsky has the first key. Maslenikov has the second. Arkhipov holds the 3rd. Without his key, the circuit remains open. The firing signal cannot reach the torpedo. The depth charges are relentless now. The hull groans, a sound like a dying whale. Savitsky is hysterical. He yells that the Americans are trying to kill them, that honor demands they take the enemy with them. He lunges for the firing panel. Arkhipov steps in front of him. He is calm in the suffocating heat. He is the only thing that is cold. He speaks quietly, his voice cutting through the panic. He tells Savitsky that these are signaling charges. He tells him that if the Americans wanted to kill them, they would already be dead. He tells him that firing the torpedo is not an act of war. It is an act of murder on a planetary scale. The crew watches, paralyzed. The political officer, usually the most fervent ideologue, looks between the furious captain and the stoic commander. The air is so thick with CO2 that it tastes like copper. Savitsky screams again, slamming his fist against the bulkhead. He calls Arkhipov a traitor. He calls him a coward. The tension is a physical weight, heavier than the ocean pressing down on them. Arkhipov doesn't flinch. He doesn't raise his voice. He simply refuses. He holds the key in a grip that could crush stone. He reminds Savitsky of his duty not to the party, but to the future. He argues that surfacing is not surrender, it is survival. He deconstructs the logic of mutual assured destruction in a Conversation that lasts only minutes, but decides the fate of centuries. He forces Savitsky to look him in the eye, to see the madness of what he is proposing. Slowly, agonizingly, the rage drains out of the captain. He looks at the torpedo tube. He looks at his crew. He lowers his hand. The order is given, not to fire, but to blow the ballast tanks. Compressed air hisses into the tanks, forcing the water out. The submarine begins to rise. It breaks the surface of the Caribbean Sea, foam cascading off the black hull. The hatch opens. Fresh, cool air floods the compartment, saving the men who were minutes away from suffocation. They climb onto the conning tower. They are surrounded. A ring of American destroyers circles them, helicopters chopping the air overhead. It looks like a defeat. The Americans wave from their decks. The Soviets stare back, exhausted, humiliated, blinking in the bright sun. But the torpedo tube remains closed. They return to Russia in disgrace. The admirals in Moscow were furious that they had been detected. One officer told Arkhipov it would have been better if they had gone down with the ship. His career was stalled. The story of what happened in the overheated control room of B-59 was buried in classified files for 40 years. Vasili Arkhipov died in 1998, a quiet death for a man who had lived through the loudest moment in history. The world went on. Children were born. Walls fell. The internet was invented. None of it would have happened if one man had turned a key. He didn't save the world with a weapon. He saved it with a word. He saved it by having the courage to do absolutely nothing when everyone else wanted to do something terrible.